What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, class swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. I think a lot of you guys are still trying to figure out your way into the room, which should be through your dashboards. Uh, but we got Amy here. You found it. We got Bill. Good morning to you. Good morning to Emily. Good morning to Jeff. Good morning to Lauren, Lucian. You guys are probably gonna be piling in throughout the day. I know. I know. Short time from now should be relatively fixed. We'll see. Other than that, Spy. Yeah, Emily says fantastic Tuesday. I'm not sure a bull on the Spy. Then it's a little sad. You are still kind of dipping again. We blew through a lot of the support. The bigger one that I would have liked to see hold for yesterday. Well, we got the close at it, but we were able to bring price action all the way down through it. We went really old school for the group today. I don't know. Every day is different. Every day is different, you know? 683.63. Watch that one for today. That looks like right where we close. And today, getting a little more follow through. We got to watch yesterday's VPOC as well. So that would be our new support, 682.58. To the higher side, watch for resistance at that 683.63. If we could get through it, that would take us up to 684.41. To the downside, if we end up breaking through that, which we could, we've obviously been there yesterday, that would still be my support for today. Next line. 682.32, we've been there as well. The one we have not touched yet. I'm looking at one from 681.20 to 680.86. So a little bit more room to the downside. But we have to see where this thing is going to bounce. If we can get some kind of pop at open, we got to make sure we close to that 683.68 zone. And then next target after that, not a huge range, 684.45. By the way, I don't really expect today to be too much of a wide range in the market. We do have a big event tomorrow. Today the Fed meets, FOMC meets. Tomorrow we actually hear from Jerome. We figure out what the decision is, and I think the market's going to just probably just wait and pack it up until that happens, until there's more clarity. Right now, it's expected the rate cuts. Watch at 10 a.m. today. We do have the JOLTS job numbers. They should be relatively important. We could actually get a decent bullish pop off of JOLTS for today if we could get those numbers light. So if those numbers come in lower than expected, that would signify that probably a little confirmation, especially since JOLTS comes out right before the FOMC actually meets today. That would take us into probably a little bit more likely that we get those rate cuts, and we might see that reaction bullish on that pop. If they come in a little bit higher, we're probably coming down. I don't know as significantly. I think either way we get the rate cut, but I think the market needs a little something to lean on. So JOLTS, I think today at 10 a.m. is going to be fairly important for the markets. Otherwise, I don't think we have too much other real news coming out during the day, unless we get some Trump comments on maybe agriculture tariffs or something to that effect. But other than that, I expect kind of we have a blackout on the Fed, so we're not going to hear from any Fed members, nothing too crazy. So we'll see. Qs are also gapping down a little bit, still inside day. What I don't like is the fact that we are below yesterday's VPOC, 623.46. Obviously, a relatively high 16.5 supply zone right above us, so we're gonna have to check that out as well. If we do push higher, even into the Jerome Powell rate cuts and everything else that is expected, even if we get into that zone, watch it to be a little bit of a pop and then maybe a drop at that point. We'll see. But we haven't quite touched it yet. Doesn't look like it's gearing up to touch it for today. We'll see again. Maybe JOLTS could change things around a little bit. Look for support 622.23. We'll see if that one wants to hold. Otherwise, right now, at least you got resistance 623.34. If we start to break down that next level of support, I think the next one is 620.37. We've been there on December 4th. Maybe we could touch it again and break through. The next bigger one that's really not been retested could take us back to 616.78. So still a little bit of a pullback ahead of us. Not really any demand zones until 596, 98 it looks like. So we will see. We're kind of high up there. But some news on the horizon: Bitcoin, BTC, USD. Bitcoin is still hanging out, looking to survive. We do have a 4.33 supply zone right above us. So we'll see if this ends up becoming some kind of resistance. I think a bigger spot is still what we've been talking about, that 95, that actually bigger volume zone dropped. So now we're down to 92.10. Got to get above that again. We'll see if we can do it. Right now, Bitcoin kind of flat. It is down a little bit, but more or less just kind of retesting some of the support. And jolts probably can move crypto space as well. Lower interest rates, good for Bitcoin, more risk on assets, cheaper money. So you might see a decent pop on Bitcoin if we get some lighter jolts. Otherwise, we got to push it off till tomorrow when we actually see the interest rate decisions. GLD had a little bit of a struggle bus yesterday, kind of still closing at an okay price, a little bit lower than I think I would have liked. VPOC also right at or slightly below, probably a key level, somewhere around 385.56 to the higher side, which we are getting a gap up for today. Still going to be a little resistance, 387.09. So right now on the agenda, it looks like it is just going to struggle a little bit. Probably a quiet day, unless we could somehow break out of those some key results. So just pull up silver. Silver telling us they're bullish still. We're looking at all-time highs potentially. We'll see if we can make it up there. I don't have any resistance above us, but if we get a pullback, which again, gap and go from yesterday, that's a fantastic one. We do have a gap above, but still inside this candle from Friday, so that'd be interesting. Let's see if we get a pullback first. Look for some kind of support around 53.05, and then we'll look at roughly about 52.94 would be that Friday support. So let's see if we can take out any of those, but there's not a lot except for maybe I see one, two psychological levels, one of them being all-time highs for silver. So that looks good. We'll see if gold can catch up. Gold looked a little bit more compacted, but silver looks pretty nice for today. All right, we got some tickers coming in. If you guys got other ones, you guys more than welcome to throw those out as well. We got Alibaba gapping down into a little bit of a demand zone. It's a 3.27. It's not the strongest in the world. It could definitely take this one out. It, that's a longer term sense though. I think he got 148.63. I'm surprised Alibaba's gapping down a little bit. They did have we had Nvidia react to news, which is a little confusing on the news. It's not like brand new news that we heard, but Trump did approve the Nvidia what is it, the H something chip. It's not the strongest chip that they have. We've already kind of knew that that was going to be approved. Nvidia took off. Nvidia's gapping up today. AMD had a little bit of a rally from it as well. Again, the weaker chips. And not saying that AMD is weaker, but it is a little bit different kind of clientele for AMD. We've been saying that for a while. But AMD also had a nice little push off of that too. I think SMCI ripped. Even Baba kind of ripped off that. So I don't know what the other news to take this down. Let's see if there was, what is it, the H200 chip, I think. Chip. But I thought that would have been decent for Baba. Today, gapping down, so I think probably throwing some bulls off pace a little bit. If this thing comes down to 153.50, I'd see if there's a little bit of a bounce. And that's probably where I want that one to stop at. If you get down to 150.75, which is possible, we got to break through two levels of support to get there, so not incredibly easy. You do have that 100 EMA to hold you up as well. My challenge with if we get down to 150.75, we've been there already, and even to the higher side at this point, until we start getting gaps above 157.73, that would be this spot where it's like, okay, now you start to build that support in as opposed to just have massive resistance right above you. So I think it looks a little bit weak today. I think definitely some bulls probably thrown off guard. I thought this would have held up as long as Nvidia was holding up, and so far it looks like it is. So a little shocked on that gap down. I think some bulls might be thrown off a little bit. SoFi, aka SoFo. SoFi is also gapping down a little bit. I don't really have support to this one's 25.45, so we're kind of in no man's land a little bit. I'm gonna remove some of these lines off the chart. Uh, Still about at least from the high of this one, that's probably your 618 from going from the demand zone to supply. So maybe, but other than that, it still looks weak. Still inside day. There was some selling yesterday, not an incredible amount. If you could get a bounce at open, watch for 27.60 to be some kind of resistance. I would be putting some big support at 27 flat. Problem with that is this is almost 2 days in a row. We've already been down there. One of these days it probably breaks, and then you get down to like 26.62, 26.04, and then where I think I'd be watching is closer to 25.21 if I'm trying to pick up any kind of swing trade. 4.1 demand. Again, not too crazy, but that is the most highest recent one at least, so that would be the strongest one if we could hold. Otherwise, we're probably right back down to that 200. Still, you got the dilution on it. You got some news. It's been at all-time highs or at least 52-week highs, and we'll see if this one could probably pull back a little bit more. Otherwise, looks a little bit weak today. I wouldn't be shocked if we get a little bit of a bounce maybe at open or some point today into that resistance. We got Iran is couple days of good consolidation. 1, 2, 3, 4 days after that last little drop off, which does create a double bottom. We might, I don't know. I'm trying to make a case where there's like a inverted head and shoulders. I think it's just double bottom though. To me, it looks a little double bottom. I think you also have some kind of a neckline. I would say probably something like this. So we just got up to the high end range. If we could break out of that little downtrend, that wouldn't look too bad. You do have a lot of room to the higher side. That would take us up to $16, $67.70. That 6-7 number, man. I'm telling you, follows me. Other than that, watch for some support today. This would be our early warning signs. If we get below 45.04, we'll call it 45. I still don't know that this one has a big sell-off today, unless the market is kind of also showing the hand that it's dropping. But next spot down, 43.04. I think that's your big one. If we start closing below that, I think we're probably coming down. Otherwise, we just kind of banged off that downward diagonal line, and we have probably maybe today we can break yesterday's high. That would take us out, and then targets the higher side about 48, 47. But little compression happening on Iran. We got Hood. Hood is gapping down as well. That's a little bit more gap and go. Maybe some bulls getting a little scared at open. 132.13, I think would be your target for today. Otherwise, a tad lower, 131.95, so very much in the same zone. So we do have some room lower. I'm not sure if we get a retest really on these. I think if you're looking to go short, yeah, at least have good risk reward at 135.60, and then bigger drop into eventually probably pulls back to 127.92 if we start breaking some of these key spots that we're at. But 3 days consolidation, a little bit of gap and go. Even on this gap and go, you're still really inside the zone. So nothing has really developed over the last 3 days since Friday, essentially. So we'll see what happens, but it looks a little bit to the weaker side. I think I'd be a little more interested in the bearish side than the bullish side on Robinhood for today. I see Carvana in the chat. CVNA. Carvana. Really crazy move. This is probably not the time to enter the bull train. Just is that I think all-time highs. Yeah, I think we're all-time highs by a mile and a half. There is, I don't know, I can't count this out, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days plus a gap up. It's going to be a tough one to short. I will say that. There is, you are fighting bullish momentum in this one. I just can't go long. I think your better bet in a longer term picture, there's probably a pullback. There's most likely a gap fill at some point, but a really, really good gap yesterday for continuation. Or if you are going to try to short anything past 448.60, I will cut ties, just let it do its thing. But really, really good play. Nice breakout yesterday. We got Netflix. I feel like this Netflix thing has to go away. This is the only news in the store in the market right now. Anytime I'm like, oh, let me see what's happening in the market. The only thing I see is Paramount fighting with Netflix, trying to win over WBD. Who are they going to go with? Have we canceled all good soap operas? There's nothing else entertaining. But Netflix still looks a little bit to the weak side again. Paramount threw an offer in for they're looking for a hostile takeover at $30 straight cash per share. So we'll see what happens and which way WBD goes. But I don't even know if the the conversation is over with WBD. There might still be some more back and forths, and we have to watch it, and it's going to be very, very news based. Obviously, investors didn't like that first deal. Paramount comes in, you would think Netflix, if they didn't like the deal, and now Paramount's offering more, you probably should have got more of a rally yesterday, which we did not. And I think that's just a little bit in tune with the investors thinking maybe Netflix recounters again. And not only that, but I think the Netflix offer was a pretty generous offer in the first place. I think it is a good business model. I don't see how Netflix doesn't really want it, and they probably throw another offer in there, and we might see a few more bids back and forth. But somebody probably is going to be overpaying for WBD. Longer term, I think it's fine. I think it helps build brand. I think it's good for Netflix. I don't know how Paramount's affording it. I didn't know they were what was it like Paramount supposed to be taking over and now Paramount's trying to I don't know. I'm confused. Either way, not a great close. I do got a high volume zone, somewhere around $97.70. We'll see if we bounce into that. We are at least above yesterday's VPOC, so I'll give Netflix a little bit credit. But I think coming down into this $90.67 zone is where I'd be looking. Pretty weak close. I think the direction is still a little bit down. If you like Netflix and you're trying to get in, you could start piecing in. I would do it very slowly. Lucian says Carvana news from yesterday. Carvana is expected to see high levels of growth, potentially surpassing CarMax as the used car retailer to slated. All right, type a one if you have ever bought a car from Carvana. Type a two if you have not. Into the chat. Yeah, I haven't. I don't know anybody that has, but I guess there's people out there. We're just those people just haven't found the real life trading community yet. I guess I don't know. Or they don't want to be friends with me on Facebook or something. I don't know. I haven't seen a single person, so we're but they're out there. I guess I don't know. Either way, so we got a pretty unanimous. Nobody has ever bought from Carvana, but they're slated to be the best company in the world. I have to question this entire thing. I don't know. The Carvana, they look pretty. I've never seen a car rotate down from the top level into the bottom either. I know I drive past it decent amount of time. They look like the same cars. Seems like a Tupperware party. I don't know, but yeah. The other thing too, even if Carvana is a good company, they might be their numbers look good. I don't know how, but their numbers look good. Um, there is a there is such a thing as paying a bad price for a good company. So at the current level Carvana is, I don't know where they going from here, and maybe they hit $1,000 a share, and I'd be like, man, I guess that would have been good. I can't do it. It's just not. I would lose more times than I win, and I don't like those odds. Lucy says I've seen the delivery trucks several times though, and not only that, but from what I hear, the only interaction. Ah, look, Ben has bought two cars, so he's really holding the business together. All right, Ben, holding the business. So we got one person that bought two cars. Hey, there's companies that are skyrocketing. They don't make any revenue, so we know they have at least two sales. But the other end of that too is because they're buying used cars and just kind of reselling them, and apparently they pay pretty high price. So if you do want to sell your car to Carvana, you probably get some good money for it, from what I've been told. So if you want to interact in some way with Carvana, I think that way would be the decent way. All right, let's see. There was another ticker I missed. Oh, Meta. There we go. Meta is weak. Very kind of almost very kind of weak. Does that make any sense? I would have liked this one to continue to stay above 667. This 67 number, I'm telling you, 667.75. Closed below it yesterday. That was looking a little bit weak. So here's our last breath that the Bulls are holding on to. Again, retest gap. I think at open, there might be a sneaky little bull play. See if we could hold 662, 67. I think I like the risk reward on it. It's also a retest gap. I think your target, though, for today, where it was a little bit different when we kind of opened in the zone on Friday. We've just been hanging out here. The other end of this is still a gap and go. I don't really. It's a retest from yesterday, but I think more significant is probably that one from Friday. So I don't know. But I think if you're trying bullish, if it's going to run the full distance, 668.17 without any outside help or news or something like that, I think that'd be your target. So if you can make it work, there's $5 in it. Otherwise, if you can start getting in that zone, still, if you get back into that zone, you're right back into this one. That's the key one. Otherwise, your sign would be you'll make more money, I think, to the short than to the long if this number breaks down. So if we end up breaking 662.67, I think your next target probably takes you down to like 651.48-ish. So plenty of room. And that is before we even fill that gap. So pretty much free fall right through it. We'll see what happens. Other than that, at open, there is a little bit of an argument I can make that there is risk reward to the bull side. Probably get your stops somewhere close to like, I don't know, 661.20. Just as we talked about, there's a lot of room to the downside, which makes that a very important spot for the bulls to try to hold on to and not let it actually break down. So, longer term, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's the number. If we do break it, I just don't know if they can. I'd be bullish at open until that number breaks on Meta. We will see. Carvana PE is 102.05. Forward PE is 64.99. That sounds like a deal. That does sound like a deal. All right, we got Waldo says open. Open is concerning. You got two pretty big supply zones right above you. I don't see any demand zones quite yet, so I'd probably have to be waiting to try to buy this one. Again, I'm just looking at the chart. I don't know the fundamentals on Open Door. So if you're looking for like a long-term investment, find those find the PEs, try to find a good price, slowly dollar cost averaging. As a trade, it wouldn't be to the long side for me. It would be rather to the short side. Open does get these stupid retail bumps, so you could get the hype on these stocks. Your last support, not even the biggest one, but watch for like $7. If we start breaking seven, takes us to about 672. I got a bigger move like 641. But all of this move, this is all for the most part just hype. They did have some earnings. They beat 17.5% on earnings reported in August. Came in with 63.98 million. Again, check the valuation, but uh, I believe it was a short float squeeze a little bit. It definitely looks like it. If you feel like you're overpaying at the $7 rate, or you feel like you're missing out, at least just go back to June of 2025 when this thing was 56 cents. So it is up massive for the year. Doesn't mean we can't go higher, but now we are starting to build in a little bit of that supply zone. Nothing really holding us back. Maybe if you make back to like $3.53, I could at least there's some volume to kind of support that level, but this is concerning as well. So if we end up getting bad news, bad day in the markets, it comes down. I don't really have much in this zone to really hold us up until the next volume 495, starting to get into that zone. So it could have a decent flush to the downside. Doesn't mean it has to, but right now I'm not seeing anything that I think I'd like it in the long direction. And I feel like those bulls made some money and I'm just buying their profits. We'll see. ABT. Oh wait, ABAT. American Battery. All right, that one looks a little interesting. There is bag holders for sure. This is another one, just kind of ran up, parabolic type move. Great earnings by missing by 12.5% earnings per share, but they did have that 1.6 million in the revenue, expect or higher than expected at least. Interesting. It's kind of rounding up. I don't have any real demand zones here down at the bottom, but almost a 10 May-esque type play. Good breakout on December 4th. Trying to hang into that range. I think if you start clearing $4.28, that could take you up, I think, to like 443. And then if you start breaking that, now you start to build in a decent amount of room, 480, $4.83 into like 496. But I like that S curve, decent location, not bad. You got some moving averages. It finally came back to planet Earth into some of those moving averages a little bit. If the supply zone holds, that would take you up into like eventually $8.11. But decent, decent. As you start to climb, some of these people who might be trapped, the people who are buying October 14th, the people who said that's a big day on ABAT for selling, I'm going to buy at the close October 15th. They wish they would have waited at least another day on that one. So you start to see some of the bag holders try to probably unravel, and it's going to make it a little tougher to move higher. We shall see. Nvidia. Nvidia, really the only other news besides Netflix. And even this news is old. So we're just recycling news events and hoping the market could react. I think that's the time we're in until we hear from Jerome Powell and we can actually set up some kind of narrative. But very, very quiet last couple days. Other than that, it looks good. I think if we could start getting above probably like $86, that would be impressive. Somewhere around like 86.72. That probably starts to set us up looking for like that 200 number in a longer term sense if we get some holding out of it. But good demand zone, perfect little high hammer-ish candle, good retest. Momentum has already been good, kind of before the news even came out. So I like Nvidia. I think it's got room to go higher. I think on a pullback today, I'd be watching for about see what happens at like 184.67. It is an inside day candle for today. We are at a little resistance. Let's see if we pull back first, and then if the bulls could kind of recapture that momentum. Otherwise, again, it's not new news. And then not only that, with the deal, they do have to pay 25% of their profits from any of those chips to the U.S. government. So now you got a little bit of a reduced margin in it, but you have a wider market to deal with. So it's good and bad, I think, for Nvidia. And see if we get some follow through for today. Also, at the pretty much at the close, AMD again. I was looking for a little sympathy play. I actually think the deal probably benefits AMD more than it does Nvidia, to be honest. But you got 220.34. That's already kind of breaking down with this morning bell. Other than that, everybody on YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, I'm back. I do like once a week. Supposed to be on Mondays, but Mondays we switch around links. So for you guys on YouTube, just make sure you have the notification bell clicked. And I will go live once a week at least. And we'll see. Otherwise, you can always join us at reallifetrading.com. Tomorrow, sorry, tomorrow, I think I died there for a second. Tomorrow, we will also be on the Stock Trading Network too. So we're actually taking over their show for the next 3 days. So you'll have Tony, Jeremy in the morning lineup. I'll be hosting the live room till 12 noon, same as always. And there's also some later classes. So everybody from STN Network and RLT gets to enjoy all those. Otherwise, everybody on YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. You guys are awesome on catching.